Hi, boys and girls. So I've got my map up here. We're going to play weather person, meteorologist. So be thinking about who you're going to be. And I'd like to introduce you to the job of a meteorologist. So we've got some science words here. Meteorologists are scientists. They predict the weather. Usually they're right, but do you remember sometimes they would say it's going to snow, and then we'd wake up in the morning and there was no snow? So predicting the weather exactly on the spot is sometimes kind of risky, so they're not right all the time. But I think they do a great job in Seattle most of the time. Stormy is what this weather meteorologist is pointing to. Here's stormy weather. They make forecasts so they can say, we predict a storm this weekend. It's not going to be a good day to go hiking. Or it's going to be a beautiful weekend. The sun is out. Get out and get some fresh air. They use many tools to tell what the weather is going to be and to predict the weather. Satellite stations, weather balloons, and they use thermometers to measure the temperature. Do you remember our thermometer on our weather wall? And barometers to measure air pressure. Sometimes you might feel pressure in the air when you go up in an airplane and your ears pop, or you go maybe up a high mountain, driving up to the mountains. That's air pressure. And so they can measure that and be able to tell whether we're going to have stormy clouds and winds would be like a low pressure day, and a high pressure day would be dry air and clear skies. So barometers tell us some important things that help meteorologists tell the weather. And they study lots of math and science. If you really like math and science, maybe you'd like to be a meteorologist. Okay, now I have a book I want to read first, and then I'll show you how I'm going to play meteorologist today. The book is called What Will the Weather Be? And I'd like to tell you the author's Linda Dewitt, and the illustrations are drawn by Carolyn Kroll. Okay, here we go. What will the weather be? The sky was gray and cloudy all over Washington, D.C. That's where the White House is. On the morning of March 9th, the weather forecast called for an inch or two of snow. Now, I heard it's a little easier to get it right if it's going to snow on the East Coast than over in the Seattle area. By 12 o'clock noon, there was so much snow on the ground that many cars and buses were stuck. The airports were closed down and the schools. The weather forecast was wrong, and people were not quite prepared for the huge storms. So meteorologists predicted snow, but not this big of a storm. Weather forecasts tell us what kind of weather is coming, but predicting the weather is hard to do. Yes, that's what I think, and especially in Seattle. It is easy to see what the weather looks like right now. You can go outside and look. Is the air warm or cold? Is it windy or still? Are the skies clear, or are there clouds? What kind of clouds do those look like, my friends? Cumulus clouds? But then something happens. The wind starts to blow. Air from somewhere else moves in. New air. Old air goes out. Sometimes it is cooler air from the north. Sometimes it's warmer air from the south. The new air pushes against the old air. The place where this happens is called a front. Most changes in the weather occur along fronts. So you might feel some new air coming in later in the day, and you think, oh man, the weather's changing. Where cold air pushes against warm air, we say there's a cold front. Cold fronts move fast. They can make the wind howl. They quickly push warm air up and out of the way. The rising air carries water, and the water is not a liquid. It is a gas called water vapor. As the air rises, it cools. Oh, this is sounding like the water cycle, isn't it, guys? And the water vapor turns to liquid. High in the sky, the drops of liquid clump together and they make clouds. We learned that from the water cycle song. The clouds grow big and dark as more air rises. Then it rains. There may be thunder and lightning. So our cumulus clouds turn into a big stratus, or thunder and lightning cumulonimbus clouds. If it is cold enough, snow falls. It all happens very fast. Cold fronts cause sudden storms, but they usually don't last long. After a cold front passes, the sky clears and the weather is colder. Warm air pushes against cold air and a warm front forms. Warm fronts move slowly. They make the wind blow just a little wispy clouds over the sky. You remember what we call the wispy clouds, the cirrus clouds? Okay. There may be a light shower or maybe a drizzle for a couple of days. Warm fronts change the weather slowly. After a warm front passes, the sky clears and the weather is warmer. Meteorologist. There's two. Study the weather and they try to predict where those fronts are coming from. They measure the temperature of the air at different places around the earth. They find out where the warm air is and where the cold air is. A thermometer measures the... Very good, you guys. Good job, temperature. A wind vane, have you ever seen one of those? Sometimes on top of barns. There's one on top of a house in West Seattle. When I go on a walk, I've seen the coolest wind vane. Tells from what direction the wind blows. I always like the wind to be behind me when I'm running because it pushes me and helps me go faster. They watch to see where the air moves. They measure how fast it goes. An anemometer measures wind speed. Anemometer. How fast is the wind? Water vapor. Remember we talked about water vapor coming from evaporation when the sun warms the earth, warms the water on the earth. A meteorologist also measures the amount of water vapor or humidity in the air. Water vapor is what makes air feel damp or humid. Lots of water vapor rises from the ocean. That is why air along the coastlines feels really humid. Another thing meteorologists measure is air pressure. That's what we talked about, the barometer, a barometer. Now that person's feeling all kinds of air pressure. Our air does have pressure in it, boys and girls. And sometimes it's high pressure and sometimes it's low pressure. Okay, it's hard to imagine, but air has weight, and all of this weight presses on the earth. It presses on everything, even you. Hundreds of pounds of air pressure that you can't see goes against your body all the time. You can't feel it because air inside your body pushes out with the same force. Oh boy, those are some big concepts. Air inside this basketball pushes out too. You can bounce a ball when it has air in it, but what happens when you take out all the air? Can you bounce it? Nope, the basketball flattens. It collapses from the weight of outside air. You cannot feel air pressure and you cannot tell when it changes, but it does. Sometimes it is high and sometimes it is low. As the air pressure changes, the weather changes. And this is a barometer. And remember, low pressure usually means not very good weather. And high pressure usually means clear skies. Dry air. When air pressure is low, air is rising into the sky, water vapor in the air turns to liquid, and clouds form. As more air rises, the pressure gets lower and lower, and the clouds get bigger and darker. Lots of rain or snow may fall when the air pressure is low. The air pressure is high. When it is high, air is sinking toward the earth. The skies stay mostly clear. A few puffy clouds may appear, but it won't rain. The weather is dry and sunny when the air pressure is high. Meteorologists measure the pressure over the whole earth. They find the highs and the lows. They measure the temperature and humidity of the air. They see where air is warm, cold, or damp. They measure the speed and direction of the wind. They take their measurements over the oceans and over the land. So here is a weather airplane. Here is a weather satellite, and that's what my watch, when I'm telling you guys what time, I'm getting information from a satellite that talks to my watch, and that's how I know the temperature, because I know if it's 70 degrees inside the classroom, it doesn't mean it's 70 degrees outside, right? I want to know the temperature outside, and my watch can get that temperature by reading the satellite waves. Okay, the weather balloon. And what else do we have? A weather station. Okay. Throughout the day, the measurements are sent to the National Weather Service in Maryland. Their huge computers plot the measurements on maps, and the maps show the temperature. So friends, I'm going to show you. Here's a map of the U.S., and here's a big map of the U.S. that I have here. And when we play weather meteorologist, we're going to map exactly where we predict the weather is, what's happening around the United States. So meteorologists everywhere study the maps to forecast weather for tomorrow and the next day. They need to know what is happening hundreds and hundreds of miles away. They need to know what kind of air is coming. Then they can make their forecast. Okay, so we'll finish up here, guys. Says forecasts tell us what kind of air is coming and what kind of weather to expect. They may call for warm and sunny days, or they may tell us to prepare for snow and strong winds. Meteorologists may warn farmers when a frost is coming. They help us decide whether our schools and airports should be closed or open. So that's the end of our book, What Will the Weather Be? Now, guys, I've got my weather. I'm going to be a weather Henry today. I've got my mustache and my hat, and I've got someone else I need to play with. I need someone to video me on TV. So I made a little cup and a box here to be my video camera. So maybe a brother, sister, parent can video you when you go live on television. I also made out of cardboard a take or action so that I know when to start with the filming. And I've got a pointer stick, which you can use any kind of stick today. And I am going to announce my name and what the weather is going to be around the country today. So, for starters, you'll need some pictures. You'll need to make a picture of wind, which you can draw by yourself, a picture of clouds and sun, which you can draw by yourself, maybe hot, or maybe clouds, or maybe just sun. So, around the USA today, hello families, it's Henry here over in Seattle, and I wanted to let you know that tomorrow in Seattle, the wind is going to blow, but it's going to be coming from the south. Whoops, where did my wind go? But it's going to be coming from the south, so it would be bringing probably some stormy weather for Saturday. I don't think Saturday would be a good day to paint your house. Or my friends, you can say something like, boy, down in Florida, it is so hot way down here in Florida. That might be a good place to take a vacation when the coronavirus is gone. See you later. So boys and girls, I want you to have fun playing meteorologist. Predict the weather. Make some big terms like the air pressure from my barometer reads high pressure. We're going to have clear skies and it's going to be really dry, or low pressure. Or make yourself a thermometer just like we had in class and tell us what the temperature is. Predict and make forecasts. Have some fun being on your own weather channel and let me know how it goes. Alrighty, guys. See you later. Don't forget French today. Bye.